Are you tired of boring relationship advice? Maybe you're just looking for a fresh new perspective. Maybe you just need advice that's a little bit more realistic for yourself and your significant other. Whatever the reason is, I'm NCD Gamer, and welcome to my Relationship Corner. These are my 5 essential tips for a strong and healthy relationship. Essential tip number 1. We're going to be talking about core relationship goals. But NCD, what are core relationship goals? Well, I'm glad you asked. Some of the things covered in core relationship goals are children, marriage, and dream lifestyles. When we're talking about children, first off, how many children do you want? Do you even want children? Do you? One last thing about children that I feel that you guys should talk about is what happens if there is some sort of complication with the child. You have to decide, are you going to even keep the child or adoption, or how are you going to deal with that situation? Moving on to marriage, what are your thoughts on marriage? Do you even want to get married? Some people feel that getting married actually changes the dynamic in the relationship. Now all of a sudden, for some reason, some things have changed. For other people, marriage happens to work. Obviously, marriage does entail a whole conversation. These are just some light topics that I feel you guys should discuss before moving on further in your relationship. You need to know where the other person is thinking of heading in the end. Well, since we happen to be on the topic of knowing where the other person wants to head in their relationship, let's talk about dream lifestyles. You have to know what kind of a lifestyle does your partner want. Do they want a large house, a small house, a farmhouse, a red house, a blue house, white house? You get my point. What kind of health lifestyle do they want? Do they want to eat healthy? Do they want to exercise all the time? Or are they okay with just letting themselves go and it's alright, no problem? One last thing about the lifestyles. What kind of income do you guys want to have? Some people are okay with just an average income, just enough to just get by. Some people want a little bit more lavish things. The mansion, the butler, maid, personal chef. Just make sure you guys talk about these things, as they can be pretty important considering you're talking about your income here. Moving on to essential tip number 2, compromise. And oh, when I say compromise, I mean compromise. Here, when we talk about compromise in a relationship, we're talking about both parties coming together and coming up with a solution together. Not separately. Not your way is better than my way, or my way is better than your way. Let's say you guys decide not to completely resolve this issue in the moment, and you just put it off at a later time. What is going to end up happening is you're going to end up having this conversation again and again and again and again. And it's not going to get any better any other of those times. This is what we're going to call the boomerang effect. Basically, just like a boomerang, if you don't deal with this problem now, it's just going to keep coming back and hitting you in the face. At least, if you decide and you work together to make that solution, when you do have those problems later in your relationship, what you can do is always refer back to the previous one that you had and talk about what things did you come up with as solutions to that problem. Now, we're gonna move on to topic number 3, always thinking about the other person. Now you might be saying to yourself, but NCD, I am the most thoughtful person ever in this whole world and I never stop thinking about the person that I love. Yes, we've all been there, and I'm pretty sure we all think that we are the most caring, wonderful person that we think we are. But let's be honest, when you're having an argument, you might not think so much about yourself and more about how your partner might have messed up. It's always easy to think about your partner when times are amazing. What I'm trying to focus on here is the times that are rough, the arguments, the frustration. These are the moments that we might feel less inclined to think about the other person. Make sure that you kind of watch how you're talking or listen to how you're talking to your significant other. When you're upset, frustrated, angry, which is completely normal if you feel like you've been wrong, we have a tendency to talk in a more aggressive tone. If you start with that aggressive tone, more often than not, I would say probably like 99% of the time, you're probably gonna get back a lot of defensive remarks, and it's not gonna make you feel any better. It's kind of like that saying, you get what you put in. If you put anger in the argument to begin with, you're probably just gonna get the anger right back. And trust me, I've been on the other end, it's not very fun. Make sure that you try to kind of check yourself, so that way you don't set them up for failure in the argument already. If you need some time to chill out before you have the conversation, please do it. If you need time to relax, so that way when you bring up this uncomfortable topic, you're at least at a level emotional playing field, and so that way it's not unfair to your significant other who has to take in all of that anger and frustration from you, and instead they're getting, my partner just really cares and they just want a relationship to work, so at least they're coming at me with a nice, calm, relaxed tone instead of just accusing me of doing something horribly wrong or something like that. Give love so that way you'll get love back. Now don't get me wrong, you might give love and maybe 1 out of 10 times you're still gonna get that anger and that frustration, but at least you started it at a nice level so that way it doesn't escalate that much more, because if you already started with that anger and frustration, more likely 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that back. When you do decide to bring up that really uncomfortable conversation or argument, make sure that you take into consideration where your partner is emotionally. Basically, if your partner had a really rough day and is already very frustrated, probably not the best time to bring up this topic. With some topics, there is kind of no good time, but there are better times. Just keep that in mind when you decide to bring up an uncomfortable situation or uncomfortable topic with your partner. Lastly, in always thinking about your partner, make sure that when you're listening to them, you're listening to understand, not to respond. I have this issue a lot, and instead of listening to actually what is my partner saying and what are they actually talking about, if you listen to respond, you don't actually hear what it is that your partner needs from you. Instead, you're thinking about, how do I get out of this? How do I defend myself? And then you miss the whole point. Listen to understand. Moving on to topic number 4. Always be honest with yourself and with your partner. Say what you need to say, but do it in a respectful way. Holding things in, not the best. Expressing yourself, like I said, in a respectful way can actually help you not feel like you're trapped, not feel like you have to be okay with things. One thing that I feel a lot of people do, just in general, is say that it's okay when it's really not. This is not being honest with yourself or with anyone else. If you're really not okay with something, don't say it's okay. My last thing on being honest with yourselves and with your significant other, make sure you don't get stuck saying these apathetic phrases. Okay, you're right. Let's just forget about it. Or, just forget it. I'm over it. Or, whatever, it's not a big deal. Just whatever, it's okay. These are just a few examples of what these apathetic phrases can sound like or be. These phrases can also cause some serious damage to your relationship because it means that the other person or yourself, you just don't care anymore and you're ready to just give up. If you do notice yourself starting to say these phrases or they start to pop in your mind, you need to have a serious talk with your significant other about what it is then that's causing you to feel this way, where you're not just feeling any more of what you used to feel, and then you can start to mend those things with your significant other together. For my 5th and final essential tip for a strong relationship, have fun and always love. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you can't still do all of the fun things that you used to do when you were single. Now, having said that, one thing that I would recommend against doing that you might have enjoyed while you were single, if you enjoyed sleeping around with a bunch of people while you were single, probably not the best thing to continue doing in a serious relationship. But hey, that's just my opinion, do what you want. Whatever it is that you enjoyed before, you can still enjoy while you're in the relationship. And if anything, your significant other should support you in whatever it is that you want to do. One thing that I feel that makes it easier to actually include your significant other in all of the things that you're doing, start off with at least some similar hobbies. You don't have to have exactly the same hobbies, but as long as you have some that are the same, some things that you guys can enjoy together, it's gonna make it a lot easier for your significant other to feel more a part of your life. For instance, my wife enjoys making little creative things like headbands and bouquets. She'll include me in those things. Hey baby, what do you think about this color scheme? Hey, how do you think about this? Hey, can you test run some of these headbands for me? See? Supportive. Thanks baby, I would love to be a unicorn today. I'm not saying that you have to include them in every single thing that you're doing, but at least some or most of them. Alright everybody, well thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope it gave you some great insight into having a strong and healthy relationship. I'm NCD Gamer, and until next time, I will see you in my relationship corner. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch, and you can also follow me on Twitter. The links to all of those are in the description below. Have a redonkulously amazing day.